Alright, so today's video is over subjective character graphing. Now that's kind of just a fancy way of saying analyzing a character's actions and their behaviors to then figure out how they affect their personality and their character. Um, I think that's a great skill for you to know how to do before going into Mrs. Wagner's advanced 7th grade class. It's something that my advanced students this year have worked with, so I'm going to be teaching you really quickly about subjective character graphing. Now, subjective character graphing is using a two-dimensional graphing to rank characters and concepts. Like I said, you're really looking at a character's actions and deciding how those actions affect who they are as a person. So there's a difference between subjective and objective. Subjective means based on or influenced by personal feelings, tastes, or opinions. And objective means not influenced by personal feelings or opinions in considering and representing facts. So subjective can be based on your opinion. Objective is just strict facts. So some examples for character traits. Subjective character traits would be things like morality, kindness, loyalty, courage. These are things that if you and a student were having a conversation about a character, you might have different opinions on how loyal that character is or how courageous they are. It's not black and white. Now, objective traits would be things like their age, their height, their eye color. You can't argue those things. You can't have differing opinions on those things. They are just facts. All right, so when we're looking at subjective character graphing, we are just working on subjective traits, so the ones that you can argue and have your own opinion about. All right, obviously, your opinion needs to be based off of evidence, which we're going to talk about that here in a second. So, an example to make this a little easier to understand. Here I have Katniss and Olaf. All right, we're going to be plotting these two characters on our subjective graph. So these are the kinds of traits that we're going to be graphing them on. Up and down, we're going to be judging if they are a planner or if they're more of an improviser. Improviser means doing things on the fly without thinking. So whenever we're deciding if they're a planner or improviser, we're going to picture them up and down on this graph. Now we're also going to look if they're an extrovert, which means, they're a little more outgoing, or an introvert, right? And anytime that we're thinking about that character in regards to those qualities, we're going to be plotting them side to side, all right? So I had to plot Katniss on this map. I would put her above the line for improviser and planner because I think she does think out her actions a little bit more, but she's also not a crazy planner because she does some things unplanned. For example, in the movie where she's trying to get sponsors and she's showing off her skills with the bow and arrow and nobody's paying attention to her. So she kind of looks up at the different sponsors and tries to get their attention. So she shoots an arrow through an apple in a pig's mouth, and that totally was not planned. But I'd say she's more of a planner than not, so that's why I put her up there. Now, looking at the extrovert and introvert line, I put her more towards the introvert side because if you've read Hunger Games or seen the Hunger Games movies, Katniss really isn't a people person. She's for the people and she wants to do what's best for them, but she likes to be a little bit more on her own and do her own thing. So that is why I plotted Katniss there. Now, Olaf's a little different story. I put Olaf all the way over here in the corner. He's down on the planner improviser. He's more of a wing it kind of guy, go with the flow. And he's also extremely extroverted, has a great outgoing personality, always wants to be involved with everybody. So he's all the way over here on that spectrum. So that's why I plotted Olaf over here. So those reasons that I just gave you for why I plotted Katniss and Olaf where I did, that's kind of your evidence. That's what backs up your ideas and your thoughts of where these characters belong, okay? So then what we like to do is take it up a notch, all right? Look at a little more higher quality character traits for the different, characters in our book. So for example, we're looking at how bravery versus intelligence. Okay, and you don't always need two terms on your graph because it's pretty self-explanatory. If you do not think that character is brave, then they're just going to be lower on the spectrum. Or if you don't think they're as intelligent, they're just going to be lower on the spectrum this way. So you don't always need all four terms around the graph. So if we're plotting those characters again, I would put Katniss all the way up here in the corner. I think she is extremely brave. So we're going up and down. I think she's extremely brave because she, volunteers as tribute for her sister. She's trying to save everybody, stand up. I don't remember what the people are called, but she's standing up to, her government in her book or movie. So she's extremely brave. That's why she's all the way up at the top. I also think she's very, very smart and intelligent. So that's why I put her all the way over here on this spectrum. Okay, you can kind of see why she's over there. Olaf, again, very different character than Katniss. I still think he's almost equally as brave. I mean, think about in the movie Frozen, he's willing to sacrifice himself for Anna, where he says, some people are worth melting for. So I think he's really brave, and he stands up, to that big snow monster. But on the intelligence scale, I think he's a little further down because, again, he stands in front of a fire and he's a snowman. He wants it to be summer, even though he doesn't know snowmen don't exist in the summertime and things like that. So, again, that's my evidence for why I plotted these characters where I did. So you kind of have an idea of what subjective graphing is. We're using those character traits that can be judged, that can be argued, you can have your own opinion about, as long as you back it up with evidence. All right? So what you're going to be doing for your assignment, I'll go through the directions with you, but you can read these again on your own. You're going to be completing this assignment on the link that's on your agenda. So you clicked the link to see this video for the directions, and then the link below will be where you're actually completing the assignment. You're going to choose your own 2 subjective traits. You can use this link. It'll take you to a PDF of different character traits that you can use if you need help. You're going to be plotting the following characters on your graph. So you can click and drag on the assignment. I already have the characters typed out for you. You will literally just be clicking and dragging them on the graph wherever you see fit. You are choosing your own 2 traits. In the assignment, I will have a place for you to type which traits that you are choosing. So you're just filling out the doc that I give you and plotting these 3 characters according to the traits that you chose. After you've done that, you are then going to reflect on the assignment and what you did. So you're going to complete the reflection and analysis after plotting your characters. You will choose 2 of the characters that you plotted on the graph and explain where you plotted these characters and why you plotted them where you did. Again, this why is that evidence to back up why you put Roy where you did and why you put Beatrice where you did. So you're going to be explaining that through writing. So I hope you kind of understand a little bit of subjective graphing. Again, if you have any questions, see Ms. Machuzak or see Mrs. Schmieder.